But today we must take a wider look. Because of modern communication and modern technology, the whole world has become our neighborhood. And we are demographically moving closer and closer to each other, and we've become a neighborhood without becoming a brotherhood.
Journeyman is a platform where men can lay down their titles, grow together, learn from each other, and be accountable to each other. Many of us deal with several problems throughout our lives, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. At times, we may feel alone in our troubles. However, Journeyman is a space where you can feel safe expressing yourself with other men that are on the same path. Journeyman is a space for people like myself who never thought they would be living purposefully in their life.
Hey, we are back. We are back. Man, I'm really excited about tonight, man. Let's hear a little bit of this jam first, man. This is hot. All right, this is by Zante. Jesus Called My Name. Man, wow. This is good. Taking this. Shout out to Zante if you're watching this, man. We don't want no copyrights to this. Hey, well, man, I am excited to give it a round two here.
Yeah.
To this amazing podcast, man. And if you were tuning in live last Thursday or Thursday the 16th, we had some technical issues and it was just warfare and
it was the rehearsal.
Craziness.
It was the rehearsal.
Yeah. So man, I'm really excited to premiere this tonight on the 21st and just to share man, this amazing story. And we're here again with Sharpen with Journeyman. This podcast is really just highlighted for folks who we believe that are living out the mission in the areas of faith, family, and community. And what is Journeyman and what is it about? We are committed to establishing communities where commitment and accountability are top priority for the areas that we believe they can get stronger at, and that's faith, family, and community. And we believe if men do that, there's a great opportunity for society and businesses and their income levels and so much to just thrive in those three areas. And so, man, I am excited because I get to redo and interview my good friend, my brother, Patrick Correa. And Patrick Correa, we've known each other for what, 6 years? 7 years?
You said 6
10
years the other day, but it's been longer than that, man. I was a little hurt, but I've since got over it. But yeah, it's been about 10 years.
It's been about 10 years, man. And I know Patrick Correa, and maybe if you were tuning in live to the Echo-ness, you might know a little bit of Patrick Correa, but you probably couldn't hear it now like you're hearing now. So
if you ever want to hear a podcast underwater,
that's exactly
find that episode.
Yeah, hopefully we deleted it everywhere, but if not, man, I'm really excited just to take this to another level, this session, man, because it deserves a clear audio, it deserves a premiere, and it deserves to keep playing because I believe that this story here will be able to reach many folks and kind of resonate with some people, man. So, man, Sharpen is here, and we're excited to present our guest tonight, which I get to see him every month, man. He kind of jumped in the water with me on this podcast, yeah?
Yeah, I had some time, and you said, "Hey, you want to stop by?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll stop by."
Yeah.
The next week, you want to stop by? Yeah, I'll stop by.
Yeah.
After like the fifth or sixth one, I said, "Hey, man, am I gonna get some residuals from this?"
I caught me a nice bass, man. That was a good one.
You wined and dined me or something because I eventually became the co-host somehow. But happy. I'm just as excited to be here with you, Jose.
Man, I appreciate it, man. This is good stuff, man. Me and Patrick, we get along. We love to highlight stories. But man, this story tonight, man, I'm excited because it's powerful, man. I like I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, I just think folks need to listen and hear some nuggets that Patrick gives, and a good book. The Bible tells us to respect our elders, and you're just a tad bit older than me, but I respect you, man.
Hey, listen, you youngsters, you better hope you look this good when you're 50 years old or almost 50.
Hey,
yeah,
that's
and
good.
going back after the interview,
Yeah.
Early on in these podcasts, and we have short attention spans,
Right.
so
Yeah.
we'll listen to something and we're like, or
Yeah.
like, well, especially with scrolling.
Yep. That's
But,
good.
my story, because we can't get into everything,
Yeah.
but if you are, or somebody that didn't believe in God
Right.
and
That's
now
good.
is a believer,
Yeah.
there's somebody that was agnostic. Well, there's something out there, but we all have different ways to get to that something. And, I'm just searching right now.
Yeah.
You might want to listen. If you've ever dealt with suicide,
Yeah.
whether suicidal thoughts in yourself or
So good.
somebody that's committed suicide, that you might want to listen to this podcast. If you've ever been in a marriage and you looked at each other and said, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
I'm no longer in love,
Yeah.
and this marriage is impossible to
Yeah.
get through. You might want to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
And so there's so many different areas, and
Right.
that's just the tip of the iceberg. And
Right.
hopefully we'll touch on.
Yeah.
But when you asked me what should we title this,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Right.
I love food, so
Yeah.
and title it all you can eat buffets or something. I don't know,
man.
Vegas buffet.
No, we do that.
But really, the first thing that came to my mind was, man, I've always said the mess has become a message for
So
me.
good. Yeah.
And so go ahead and write that one
Yeah,
down.
man. That's gonna be our title, our theme for tonight, man. And who Patrick Correa is you might hear, or you might be in a mess right now. You might be watching this thing wherever you're at in the world, on Facebook or on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the likes and subscribe button, the bell and ding, so you get notified. And then, hit like as many times you want, on Facebook as well. If you're watching us, please share this broadcast, so we can get our algorithms up and get the word out of Sharpen. But if you're going through a mess right now, man, we have a story for you. I'm really excited to dive in tonight, man. So let's kick it in, man. Let's talk about who is Patrick Correa, man. Where are you originally from, man?
So I'm originally from Michigan, and people always ask me where from Michigan. I hold up my hand like this, and I say right here. So it's south. It's almost by the Ohio border, in a little town called Tecumseh, Michigan. Shout out to Tecumseh and Adrian. That's another town right next to it that I grew up in, and so I was raised there.
Okay.
And in the best decade to be a child in the ever, for anybody listening, and if you have some old school players listening to this, you'll know.
Yeah.
I was a child of the 80s, and so just like
I was barely born.
Yeah. Well,
child of the 80s. Yeah. Come on.
Just like that show, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Where they just rode their bikes and just, they were out of, that was us.
Yeah.
We don't lock our doors. We didn't lock our house doors. We didn't lock our car doors.
Wow.
And there's still places like that in Michigan now where it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Scary, but amazing. And so I was raised like that.
Yeah.
And I was raised by an amazing father, hardworking father, and an amazing, just a saint, mom. And my dad didn't believe in God, and my mom did.
Wow.
And so that was interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm the two brothers.
Okay.
My older brother Anthony is 4 years older, and my younger brother Robert is 4 years younger.
Wow.
Shout out to my brother Robert, Brown Angel.
Yeah.
And I'm smack dab in the middle. 4 years older, 4 years younger, so I'm right dab in the middle.
Yeah.
And so shout out also to any middle child syndrome people out there.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
I'm the oldest.
For those that have that middle child.
Yeah.
If you look at all our pictures growing up, it's my older brother by himself.
Yeah.
And then my little brother by himself.
Yeah.
They got their own pictures.
Yeah.
My pictures, either I'm with my older brother,
right,
or I'm with my little brother. There ain't no pictures of just me. I just kind of wandered around. So I had an amazing childhood, but I was raised on 80s rock, and snowmobiling and sledding and BMX bikes.
Wow.
And it was a great upbringing, had a great family.
Yeah.
But even in being raised through all of that, there was still protection from racism.
Right, right.
And so my father and my dad's actually third generation migrant, my mom's second generation. And so they both spoke Spanish, but they came, they're in Michigan now.
Right.
And my dad in the 70s, it was It was to protect us.
Right.
It was really to protect us because of the racism.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I don't want my kids speaking Spanish.
Mm.
I don't want them. I want to deculturalize them.
Wow.
I don't want any piñatas.
Wow.
I don't want any,
Yeah.
parties. I don't want any Mexican music in the house.
Mm.
I want to Americanize them, and that's going to keep them safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we would call it whitewash now.
Right. Right.
Politically incorrect. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so he had 3 boys.
Yeah.
And there was no Juan.
Yeah.
There was no
No
Sergio. There
No
was
Jose.
no Jose. There was nothing like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
there was
good.
so my dad had 3 boys, and he named them Anthony Wayne,
Mm.
Patrick Michael,
Okay.
and Robert Allen.
Patrick Michael.
Patrick Michael. Yeah,
Wow.
yo. And and Robert Allen.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 names.
Gosh.
So even to this day, people ask me my name, I say it's Patrick. They're like, no, seriously, what's your name? I'm like, "It's Patrick." Man. Or they'll hail me on the phone, and then like, I worked for juvenile hall for many years, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I would talk on the phone to new employees, and they'd come in and say, I'm looking for Patrick. And I'm like, that's me. And they're like, no, seriously. Like, first off, I said,
that's facts.
and then I would tell them, you thought I was white, didn't you?
I thought you did.
And they
I
said,
thought you were.
And they said, they would just nod their heads.
Wow.
Embarrassingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyways, we were raised like that. It was great. And then for some reason, I have my own, because you don't know, when you're a kid, your parents, I saw something the other day. It said, I didn't realize when I was a kid, I was actually watching my parents growing up.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm.
And so as a kid, we don't know what our parents are going through. But if you're in your 20s,
right,
raising kids, or even in your 30s raising kids, you're still growing up too.
That's good.
Somehow, some way, this deculturalized family, Hispanic family, the coconuts were brown on the outside and just couldn't speak Spanish.
They call me Pocho.
Or Julio. So we moved from Michigan. 80s rock.
Wow.
Stranger Things. Episodes to the south side of Modesto.
Wow.
And I had never seen a gang. I had never seen tagging. I had never seen drugs. And not to say that's all that was on the south side, but just my parents were so gullible and just didn't know anything. And then I'm in 7th grade, which is a really hard age to even for kids to be in. And no friends or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, how do I get to school? They're like, oh, just walk. Just walk 2 miles that way to the Red Shield. And so I just remember I was walking all scared.
Wow.
And it was horrible. The second night we were in that we moved to California because people from other states or from back east, California's beaches,
right?
Bikinis, it's movie stars,
right?
And then we show up to Modesto and there's like canals,
right,
and no sidewalks, and this was not a great example of California to us,
right?
So we the second night we were in the house, we left our garage door open. Wait, you guys don't leave your garage door open all night? You don't leave your doors unlocked all night?
I got a story about that.
Your garage door open all night, and our bikes were gone. Everything was gone. Day 2, and then it was a wake up call for us. So, anyways, that's
wow.
That's
so you migrated from Michigan to South Modesto, and through this process now you're what, 7th grade, and so
I'm like 12 years old.
12 years old, man. So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's talk about your journey here in Modesto, growing up, and now you got. Let's talk a little bit about how you met your wife.
Well, there's a lot before that, but what I will say is, well, can we go a little bit before that?
Because that's rewind a little bit.
That's about 20, that's about 20 years later.
Okay.
About 15 years later.
All right.
So when we came to California, it was okay, but with parents with their young, if anybody has young kids, man, my heart goes out to nowadays, just with the phones and everything. But that 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade where they were raised, they were the perfect child's t-ball practice and Pop Warner football and all this, and somehow, some way, the world gets a hold of them, and now they're in gangs, and now they're doing drugs, and now they're off the hook. And like, what happened to you? Well, I used to be a house arrest officer.
Okay.
And so I would go to these houses when they were on the ankle bracelet, and I would be in hardcore gang members or drug addicts and dealing with them, and then I would look on their wall at their house, and there would be a picture, old school picture of them like in T-ball with their hat all down here, their ears all sticking out, missing their front tooth, like the cutest kids. And I would tell them, what happened to that guy?
That's good. Yeah.
What happened to that girl?
Yeah.
Like, how did you end up here? So anyways,
how did you get into that? How did you get into probation? It wasn't probation, was it? Or what was it?
It was juvenile hall. Yeah.
How did you get into that?
We're going to go to that next.
All right.
So I before that, I was here, and you know, like I said, my dad didn't believe in God, but my mom did.
Yeah.
And my dad being raised, he just had not really good examples of faith.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't turn to faith because there's a lot of bad examples of faith.
Right.
And I tell people all the time that what kept me away from Christianity before I became a Christian was Christians.
Yeah.
So
true.
I would say, you know, I can act like that on my own.
Yeah.
And so my dad didn't believe in God, but my mom was just an amazing example.
Yeah.
And so I lived like that here in California. 12, I went through all my crazy years as a teenager, crazy years in high school. You name it, I did it.
So did you have a necklace in high school?
Or I had the chain. I had the hazel contacts. I had
the hazel contacts.
I had Z Cavaricis. I listened to high energy freestyle music all day.
All right. What was the song? What was that one song?
Shout out to Johnny O.
Okay, Johnny O.
Anyways,
all right.
And so that being raised like that, it was just a lot of close calls.
Right.
But you know what? When I was in pretty much ninth grade, almost 10th grade, I didn't pick a side that I believed in God or didn't believe in God.
Right.
My dad was a great example of somebody you would call an atheist that didn't believe in God. But just because you're an atheist doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Right.
And so he was hardworking, loving, heavy-handed, but he was a good dad.
Right.
And my mom was a great example. Man, my mom.
Yeah.
I mean, you know those people that they act one way for 2 hours on Sunday, but then there's other ones that they're like that all the time.
Yeah.
And so I would come into my living room and there'd be homeless people. There'd be people we didn't even know, and my mom would be feeding them and giving away my Star Wars shirt and giving away my clothes. And well, Mijo, they need them. They need them. So they were great examples.
Wow.
So, but as a kid, even 12, 13, 14, 15, I really hadn't made a decision.
Right.
And April 20th of 1989, I made a decision whose side I was going to follow.
Yeah.
And that morning I walked, I was getting ready for school.
Yeah.
And my older brother, Anthony, in his room, his door was shut.
Yeah.
And I could hear this alarm clock going off. And my dad was at work. My mother's getting ready in her room in the shower. And my little brother was asleep.
Yeah.
In another room. And so I'm knocking on the door and I said, hey, turn your alarm off. And I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
So I get frustrated,
Right.
And so I do the old school, grab a knife and unlock the door.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, my older brother, Anthony, at the age of 19, had a gunshot wound in his chest.
Yeah. Wow.
And I walked in to find my brother had committed suicide.
Wow.
Sometime in the night, which to this day, nobody, and even myself, can't explain.
Yeah.
This huge revolver.
Right.
Nobody heard the gunshot
in
a very small house.
Wow.
And so I know that God was keeping us,
Yeah.
Protected, at least for the night.
Yeah.
And so I find the dead body. I run call 911. I'm hyperventilating. And so I have to tell my mom that her son's dead in the next room.
Wow.
I have to tell my little brother, our older brother had committed suicide, and I have to call my dad at work. And I'm a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I remember going into my mom's room, and she was combing her hair and getting ready for work. And I didn't know. I just said, Mom, Anthony's not going to work today.
Yeah.
She's like, why? And I go, and you could hear the ambulance sirens coming. I could hear it.
Yeah.
And I heard them coming through the door. And I said, Mom, Anthony killed himself last night.
Oh, man.
And she's just bewildered like any mother would be.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. She's kind of trying to go into the room. I'm kind of holding her back. And I'll never forget the tall EMT lady,
Yeah.
and she grabs my mom. Sorry,
It's okay.
and she grabs my mom,
Hmm.
and my mom is saying, "Do something, do something."
Yeah.
And my mom and the lady tells my mom, "Ma'am, if there's something that we could do, we'd be doing it right now."
Yeah. Wow.
And I said, "My dad was right.
Yeah. Wow.
There is no God.
Mm.
You have to be brain dead or brainwashed
Wow.
to believe in God.
Mm.
If God was so real, why do bad things happen to good people?
Right.
If God was so real, why does my mother have to hear that her son committed suicide? If God was so real, why does my little brother
Yeah.
have to go through life without his older brother? If God was so real, why is there this if anybody's like, you hear about trauma, but
Yeah.
when you see trauma,
Right.
it is something totally different. And so
Yeah.
if God was so real, why am I going through this?
Wow.
And so in a second, I made the decision that there was no God. And I
Mm.
lived for many, many, many years,
Mm.
for the next 15 years,
Mm.
chastising Christians,
Wow.
chasing them.
Yeah.
My mom would bring her friends over, and I'd cuss them out.
Yeah.
And we need to pray over this house and
Yeah.
pray over Patrick's room twice, because there's something there. And
Yeah.
I had this extreme hate. And so when I meet somebody that doesn't believe in God, a lot of times I say, "Well, what happened?"
Yeah.
Nothing happened. I just think it's stupid, and
Yeah.
it's all science, and
Right.
you believe it. And yeah, but what happened?
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
And so a lot of times there's a root to the fruit.
Yeah.
There's a reason. Nobody's mad for no reason.
That's good.
And that goes into suicide. That goes into a lot of things. That
Mhm.
person at work that's mad all the time,
Yeah.
that's complaining all the time, they're like that all the time. You think
Right.
they go home and it's different?
Right.
No, they go home and they're still complaining, and they're still arguing. They're still not at peace.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Right.
Something happened. So that's how that was my journey, and that's the beginning of my journey to non-belief for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
But I will definitely go into how I met my wife.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man. So that period of time, man. So 15 years, you're dealing with that trauma. 30. So in that whole process, man, what ignited you to kind of get involved with juveniles or youth, or like, was that part of that, or
Kind of,
kind
yeah.
of? Okay.
Yeah. I had worked in group homes right out of high school. Not right. I mean, had some other jobs before that, but when I turned 20, I believe,
Yeah.
I got a job at a group home,
Okay.
and it was easy for me.
Yeah.
Like, they were only a few years younger.
Right.
And so I was able to talk to them the way they talk and interact with them the way they interacted. And I was a bad kid. They were a bad kid, but
Yeah.
it was kind of easy. So I did that for a couple years. And from there, I worked for for AMR. I was a 911 call taker. I
Okay.
did a couple things there,
Yeah.
but yeah, you call 911. There's a 21-year-old on the other line
Yeah.
reading these things of how many compressions to give. And
I tried to get an AMR there,
yeah,
man, dude.
yeah.
I wasn't qualified, man.
Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a smooth operator
Yeah.
voice or what, but they would use my tapes to
It's that
train other people. Yeah,
it's
and they're
that
like,
radio voice
yeah.
that
And
you
so
got,
I
man.
don't. Back in the day,
It's that podcast voice.
I
you
know
see?
it's from listening to a lot of Stevie B.
Hey.
But anyway,
That's good. Yeah.
so yeah, and then
Okay.
I got into juvenile. I got into juvenile hall when I was 23,
Yeah.
22, about 22, 23.
Yeah.
And I started part time,
Mm.
and I went from part time to full time.
Yeah.
Then I just worked my way up the ladder. When I left a few years ago, I was a top.
Yeah.
I was, as far as seniority.
Right.
So, anyways,
Yeah.
so that kind of why I got into juvenile hall and why I
Right.
started working there. I always tell people I wasn't really looking for a job. I was just trying to stay out of jail.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be good. And
Yeah.
and this, with the suicide came alcoholism.
Right.
With the suicide came drugs. With the
Right.
suicide came, womanizing.
Right.
With the suicide came, addiction to pornography and,
Right.
and all these other things. Because what happens is when you lose somebody,
Yeah.
or you have that trauma, you have a hole in your heart.
Right.
And so now you try to fill that
Yeah.
with other things.
Right.
Alcohol, drugs,
Yeah.
pornography, work. Some
Yeah.
people I'm just going to keep working. I'm just
Right.
going to work, just keep working.
That's good.
And so that hole, and what it turns out to be
Mhm.
is everybody has a God-shaped hole in their heart that only God can fill.
That's right.
And so
So
it
good.
reminds me of those old school toys where it's a round plastic ball, and the circle goes in the circle, and the star goes in the star and the square goes in the square. There's no other piece that's going to fit there.
Yeah.
And so for many years, I tried to fill this hole in my heart with so many other things, but it was a God-shaped hole.
Yeah.
That only God
Wow.
could. That was the missing piece.
Yeah.
But I didn't. But because I'm stubborn, even though I had a great example in my mom.
Yeah.
We're called sheep for a reason.
I hear you.
We're stubborn, and there has to be another way. This cannot be real.
Right.
And a lot of times, I won't talk for everybody else, but I was okay with the way I was living. And so I knew in my mom and this Christ that she followed, this invisible God.
Right.
And she would cry out and still praise this invisible God, even though she had to bury her son. I was like this. And I remember just being mad at her.
Yeah.
How can you serve this God? If this God that you love so much and so all powerful, but you have to bury your son, this makes zero sense to me, Mom.
Right.
But she was a great example. I always tell people all the time. During that time, I would say, I think religion and to believe in God is very fairy tale-ish, and it's all smoke and mirrors. And by the way, even if I did believe in something, who's to say your something is the right way? Because there's all these ways.
Wow.
But I would say I don't believe in it. But if you want to meet a real one, like that, not just on 2 hours on Sunday, but if you want to meet a real one, go talk to my mom.
Right. That's good.
Correa. If you want to go talk to my mom. And so I want to be that now as in 2023 as a believer. I've been with the Lord almost 20 years.
Wow.
I don't believe in God. I believe, okay, you don't.
Yeah.
But if you ever want to meet a real one, go talk to Patrick Correa. Go talk to Jose. Go talk to so and so.
Yeah.
And that means we're not. That doesn't mean we're perfect.
Right. No.
That means we've given our lives to this. We've given our lives to the Lord.
Right.
And with giving our lives to the Lord, we've seen those struggles.
Right.
And we did not give our lives to the Lord for our lives to get right.
Right.
We gave our lives to the Lord for our lives to get. I'm sorry. We didn't give our lives to the Lord for our lives to get better. We gave our lives to the Lord to get right.
That's good.
And so many people give their lives to the Lord or accept Christ or start going to church because they want their lives to get better.
Right.
Don't do that to get better.
No way.
Don't do that because my life got worse after I became a Christian.
I hear you.
But it was to get right.
Yeah.
So
So in the 15 years, you got into that and dealing with that trauma, and then you're trying to fill that hole. And so now you meet your wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now there's part of that hole kind of being filled, right? I mean, how did you guys meet?
Yeah. So
well, you got to give a shout out to your wife.
Oh,
man.
Shout out to my wife.
Come on, man.
I'm
setting you up here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that because I would have gone home. No shout out to my wife. Yeah, my wife and my 3 kids, Mondo, Anthony, and Alicia. They're just amazing.
Yes,
and they're so special to me. They're my everything.
Yeah,
I always tell people my validation because we see a lot of validation, with social media and how many likes I got. And
right?
Do you like me or do you not like me?
Yeah,
I say, I have 3 validations.
Yeah,
what God thinks of me.
Good.
What my wife thinks of me.
Yeah.
And what my kids think of me.
Yeah, that's good.
You know who's in 4th place?
Yeah.
I don't know because I stopped keeping track after 3.
I heard that, man.
I stopped keeping track after 3.
Amen.
So those are my 3 validations.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. So working at AMR.
Okay.
And so I was dispatching. So we had to go through some training.
Yeah.
And so
dated the trainer?
No.
Okay.
No. Not that I remember.
Okay.
But sorry. It was a crazy time.
Yeah.
So there was this kind of, it wasn't a graduation. It was just like those ghetto house parties at an apartment.
Now I hear you.
You know those little apartment house parties.
Buildings.
Yeah.
But neighbors downstairs calling the cops.
Like 50 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. And so, anyways.
Was that your house?
No, it wasn't. So let me finish the story.
Okay.
So
sorry.
I see her kind of just standing kind of quietly in a corner. She had went with her sister who knew somebody that I graduated with. And I was like, oh, hey. Like, hey. And so, I do the whole Patrick Correa. I have a towel because I'm wiping off all the charm that's coming off of.
You turned around, you looked your
right. Yeah, that's
you just gave her their eyes.
Hey, she ain't never seen this before, so I'll put my charm on.
Hey,
so
got that good cologne on.
So I remember my buddy.
Yeah,
we were out at the little patio, and he says, "Hey, you see that girl?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Heck yeah, I saw her."
Yeah.
And he goes, "We should flip a beer cap to see who gets her number."
Hey.
And I said, "Yeah, let's go ahead and do it."
Yeah.
So we flipped the cap, and I won.
Hey.
it's best that I won because he was married with 6 kids.
Oh, gosh.
So it's probably best that I won. But I didn't get her number or anything like that. We just, I knew her. My friend knew her sister, back and forth. Anyways, went to skip a few later. But when people ask, what did you think of your wife when you first met her?
Yeah.
And I say, oh, she was just rock star,
Yeah.
beautiful, man. Just the prettiest girl in the place, of course. And I tell us, mesmerized, I'll lay it on thick.
Yeah.
And then they'll ask her, what did you think of Patrick when you first met him?
Yeah.
And she says,
oh, you're gonna make me laugh, man. Go ahead.
She says, well, I thought he was a dork.
That's sweet. That was
it. But you know what? Guess who still got her number?
Come on, man.
Yeah. So she thought I was a dork.
Yeah.
I don't know how she thought that.
Come on.
But that 1 2 skip. But having said that,
right,
I was from the suicide and the debauchery life that I lived through my teens and even into my early 20s. And we're not even talking like when I turned 21. And now it's just it was just how I'm not, and anybody listening to this, they'll know what I mean by this. How we're not dead right now, or how we're not in jail, is an absolute miracle. Well, I don't believe in God. I didn't see a miracle.
Right. Rewind all these podcasts.
I am an absolute miracle. How many times have I been in a car where somebody was drinking? How many times have I been in a car when I was drinking? How many times, I've had a gun pointed to my head. I mean, there's so, I mean, I don't want to glorify those things because those things don't glorify God, but
that's right.
I had been through it.
Yeah.
But met my wife. Yeah. Shout out to, sorry.
It's all good, man. She's calling now.
Yeah, I know. It's my alarm. Tell Jose you love him. I love you. I love you, Jose.
That's funny.
So I had, and when I met her, she had a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
My oldest one. And, he's gonna be 30.
Wow, man.
Shout out to all the stepdads out there.
Right.
No, shout out to all the good stepdads out there.
That's good.
Jesus's dad was a stepdad.
Yeah.
Joseph was a stepdad.
Holding it down.
Joseph was a stepdad. So shout out to all the stepdads and stepmoms that that took in these kids as their own and tried the best that they had.
So good.
So she had a 4-year-old, and so we moved in, and my middle child Anthony was about to be born. Got married, and we had another kid, my daughter Alicia.
You still don't believe in God?
Still don't believe in God. So my daughter, shout out to Alicia, the spider monkey of the house, and she's 21 now.
Hey.
But look, I got a job at juvenile hall.
Yeah,
I got married.
You did it.
I have this family. I have a house.
Right.
And look, I did it all without your God.
Wow.
I did it all without your God.
Wow.
You just have to be a good person.
Yeah.
And you just have to work hard.
Wow.
And you have a good life.
Yeah.
And so that went on for a while.
Yeah.
And let's just say so I was 24.
Yeah.
My daughter's born at 26, and I turned 30. And I will say that we give our marriage we have given our marriage testimony to many times to groups and couples. And for the podcast, I've learned, well, not just for the podcast, but I've learned in my older years to, when you're going to give a marriage testimony, your wife should probably be there to be there. So what I will say about the marriage is, you're if you stay quiet long enough, you can hear the footsteps of your past catching up to you.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah.
And it caught up to me.
Yeah.
What's done in the darkness will be shown in the light.
Mm.
And another amazing thing is God will correct you in private.
Yeah. Amen.
He will really correct you in private.
So graceful. Yeah.
God will correct you in private.
That's good.
But if you don't want to listen,
yeah,
God will correct you in public.
Ouch. No.
You guys might want to write that one down.
Yeah.
He'll correct you in private, but if you don't want to listen, he'll correct you in public.
That's so good.
And that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And after a crazy, weekend in Vegas with my wife, I come home and it's out there.
Wow.
Phone calls and he says, she says, and I couldn't deny any of it.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm out. I'm done with your caca, whatever you want to use. and I lost everything in one night.
Wow.
I lost a house, I lost my kids, I lost my wife.
And you're a successful working
Everything
man.
was good.
Yeah, everything's
Everything
great.
was good. I
Wow.
was on top of the world.
Wow.
And I remember being in my so this is like 3 days of just crying, just
Yeah.
like everything's over.
Yeah.
Because there was a part of me that was because we do have a choice.
Yeah.
Well,
totally.
fine then. I guess
Yeah.
I'll start over. I'll
That's
just do something else.
Exactly right.
But I had
That's
I
good.
wasn't sorry because I had done I wasn't sorry because I got caught.
Yeah.
I was sorry because I really did do all those things.
Yeah.
You know, and people will listen to this now and like, oh, Patrick, you're a great guy. I was a horrible individual.
Right.
And even as a great guy, if you
Yeah.
say you're a great guy, I heard something the other day. It said, no matter how good a person you are,
Yeah.
you're the enemy in somebody else's story.
That is true. Amen.
So we can be oh, you did this, you did, and somebody's just like, yeah, but guess what?
That's right.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
no matter how good a person you are,
Yeah.
you're the enemy in somebody else's story.
So good.
So I don't put myself up there.
Yeah.
I don't put. Here's another one.
Yeah.
The higher the pedestal,
Yeah.
the longer the fall.
Very true.
And so I fell on my butt pretty hard. Anyways, so April 20th.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. April 4th.
Yeah.
April 4th. April 20th is the day my brother died. But
Right.
April 4th, 2004.
Yeah.
I'm in my living room and I've lost everything.
Yeah.
And I fell to my face and I said, I don't know if you're real.
And you're talking to God.
I'm talking to God. This God I don't believe in.
Right.
I don't know if you're real.
Yeah.
But if you are the one that my mom talks about, Jesus, if you are that's how I remember, if you are the one my mom talks about,
Yeah.
then I surrender my life to you because I've lost everything.
That's good.
I've lost everything. And I want to be good, but every time I try to be good, I mess it up.
Right.
And I don't know how to be good. I don't know how.
Yeah.
And then I try and I keep messing it up. I felt like I was washing my hands with mud.
Yeah.
And I could never get clean. I could never be on the right track. I could never. And when you lie, and then you lie on top of a lie, and then you lie because of that lie, and then you lie because of that lie. And when we make these decisions, we don't just hurt ourselves. We hurt all the people around us.
So good.
It's an infection. You can affect somebody, but then it's an infection.
Yeah.
So if I just affected my wife,
right,
and my kids, that'd be fun. But now it goes to the family and the workplace and the finances and the in-laws and it's just drama.
Right.
If anybody's listening to this, stop.
Yeah, that's good.
Whatever you're doing, just stop.
It's your chance.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It does not end well.
Right.
Whether you can't stop drinking, whether you can't stop watching porn,
right,
whether you can't stop, having a work wife or a work husband,
right,
or your anger, and you just snap all the time. It does not end well.
Yeah.
So I said the one that my mom talks about.
Yeah.
And so we would say a born again saved moment.
Yeah.
We learned. I didn't know what that was.
Right.
And I just kind of get up and I was like, I think I made a decision. And just like anybody else that lived bad.
Yeah.
And then, you hear it. Well, you go to church now because you got busted, or you end up in jail, and that's why you're reading your Bible now, and you're,
Yeah.
And so, but it wasn't. I knew I made a genuine decision, and it goes back to the seeds that were planted.
Yeah.
As a child,
right.
My mother took us to church.
Yeah.
As kids.
Yeah.
Up until about 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
And she took us to a Spanish church, and we didn't speak Spanish.
Right.
But that's all she knew.
Yeah.
So she'd take us to church, until one day my dad said,
yeah,
hey, do you want to go to church with your mom, or do you want to stay home and watch karate movies, kung fu movies with dad?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's an option? Shoot, I'll stay. So we all just stayed home with dad to watch kung fu movies.
Yeah.
But there was a root to the fruit, and those seeds that were planted. So for the parents that are continuing to pray for their kids, for the parents to the grandparents that are praying for these kids and showing them the way in these younger ages, do that. Keep doing that, because when they have their prodigal moments, they come back.
So good.
And so for me, there was something in my heart.
Yeah.
There was the same voice that my mom heard.
Yeah.
And I would see her just praising God and washing dishes. And then she would just raise her hands. I just love you. I just praise you, Lord.
Yeah.
We're rolling our eyes at her, but I knew something was there.
Yeah.
And so a few weeks, I was in the doghouse for a minute.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, right. Let's see. I was going to church. I started, oh, that's another story. And so I didn't know what to do. So I said, I think I should be going to church now.
Right.
I think I should. Is that something called a Bible or something? Like I didn't know.
That's it all.
And so I called my mom and I said, Mom, I think I'm saved, or what do you guys call it? Like I said yes to God. I said yes to this Christ. And remember, I had seen you told us how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now? And my mom wasn't like, praise the Lord, I've been praying for this.
Yeah.
I just Holy Spirit. She's okay. I think as everybody else was like, yeah, right. My mom was like, yeah, right.
Okay.
I know you, son. You bad. You were bad. You bad. And my father didn't talk to me for a while.
Wow.
My dad stopped talking to me when I became a Christian.
Yeah.
And he, to him it was like, well, you went to this invisible father, but you didn't come to this real father.
Right. Wow.
And so because of that, you can kick rocks and do your whole Jesus thing.
Wow.
And but it didn't last long. We eventually started talking after a while. So I didn't know where to go to church.
Right.
And so I was like, Mom, do you still go to that? It was Victory Life Center on Woodland Avenue.
Yeah.
Shout out to Victory Life Center, Pastor Quillen and Sister Susan and the whole congregation there. I have amazing things to say about them to this day.
Yeah.
And so she was, Mijo, come to church. And I said, okay. So I go to church, and I get there, and this is 2004, and it's a tent behind the church.
Okay.
It's a tent.
Yeah.
And I said, Mama, this is a tent.
Yeah.
And she said, well, we're in a tent right now because they're building the church, like they're renovations, and they're adding on to the church. So for now we're in a tent.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from not believing in God to a 4-square Pentecostal tent.
Oh man.
Shundai.
Yeah, exactly.
Shundai. Devil come out. Yeah. And so I went there, and
it's so good.
They had the music, they had the tambourines.
Yeah.
And I'm just like looking around, like, what is this?
Yeah.
And but I would keep an eye on my mom.
Right.
My mom was the thermometer.
Yeah.
And I would look at her to see the temperature of the room.
Yeah.
Is it too hot, too cold? I would just look at her.
Yeah.
And I remember one time where I'm just there, and the preaching was amazing. The word of God is just powerful and amazing. And I started liking the music.
Yeah.
There's something to hear about the music.
Yeah.
But one time, this man stood up and started running around the church. And Cedric, the entertainer, he has a bit about it. Says, hey, our people, man, like, when you run, I'm gonna run.
Yeah.
We don't wait for we don't wait to see what's happening. We don't need no run coordinator. And so I saw that man running, and I was like, Mama, come on. I got you, Mama. I felt like Liam Neeson and Taken. I said, Mama, come on, we got you. They about to set this place. I was shooting in here, Mama.
So I'm going down.
And so I looked over at her, and she's praise the Lord.
Yeah.
This is okay, I guess. So I kept going to church.
Yeah.
And then it was about 3 months later.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. I'm at church, and they're in the worship.
Yeah.
And I was taught that when people in worship are raising their hands, that's an emotional experience.
Right.
Just like if you went to a football game, baseball game, a concert.
Right.
That's an emotional experience.
Yeah.
And so that's not real. And if the crying, if you go to a sad movie, you cry, or something hurts your feelings, you cry. So that's an emotional experience.
Right.
So I was very skeptical of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on speaking in tongues and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Right.
But I'll never forget, it was during a song called Blessed Be the Name of the Lord. And they're singing the song, and my eyes are shut, and I'm singing the song. I had kind of started learning the words.
Yeah.
And I opened my eyes, and I looked, and my hands were raised.
Yeah.
And for that long, I thought to myself, ah, They hypnotized me, mama. They got me, mama. I'm part of the cult now, mama.
This is so good.
They done hypnotized me and they got me, mama.
Yeah.
I'm one of you now. I say all that stuff, but really, it really was that long that I was surprised because I don't remember raising my hands.
Right.
And it felt like hot oil from the top of my head, down my face, down my chest, down my legs. You know, now we know it's the anointing of the Holy Spirit. I didn't know that. I just thought, and you could not have poured a gallon of water over my head with as many tears that were coming down.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, my face is, my shirt's wet, and I'm frozen in this moment, but I'm like hot, like, but I'm frozen.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember breathing. It's just like I was like I was holding my breath.
Yeah.
Almost like when somebody hugs you so tight.
Yeah.
You're just like,
yeah.
And it was just God hugging me and like,
that's so good.
I got you.
Yeah.
Like, you're my son.
Right.
You know, you've been adopted.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
You know, people always say you're a child of God, you're a child of God, but there's a lot of truth to that, but you have to accept that.
Right.
You know, I know people like, well, that's my dad, but I don't like him. I don't expect him. Yeah, but that's your dad. I don't accept him as my dad.
Right.
You have to accept that.
Yeah.
And so God gave me that big old hug. And I remember going out into the parking lot and I looked towards the sky and I said, I have no idea what just happened.
Yeah. Wow.
But I couldn't have faked that if I tried. There's no way I could fake that. There's no way. So that was not an emotional experience.
Yeah.
I've had emotional experience. That was not an emotional experience.
Yeah.
And I said, Lord, from this day forward, no matter what happens to me,
so good,
I will never leave you.
Yeah.
You've never left me and I've always left you. And I will never leave you no matter what happens. And God took me back to that day many, many times when I was like, I'm done with this whole thing.
Right.
Oh, this happened?
Yeah.
Once again, my life got harder after I became a Christian.
Amen.
And I was like, I thought things were supposed to get better.
Yeah.
Don't give your life to the Lord to get better.
That's good.
Dedicate your life to the Lord to get right.
That's good.
And in getting right, your life will get better.
That's right.
And so, you know, Jesus is not an option. He's the answer.
Yeah.
And so now I had this answer.
Right.
And it wasn't just an option anymore.
Yeah.
And that was what solidified it for me.
Wow. So all that mess was melted away, man, somewhat.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Then, and part of that hole was being filled by the love of God, the salvation of his great hand, and the hope that we have in him. Right. So now going forward, man, after that experience, what happened?
So once again, people are tired of words.
Yeah.
And people hear with their eyes. And so when people, I'm saying I'm going to church and come on to church.
Right.
There's so many people that are like, yeah, right. It's only a matter of time. You just put some beer in front of that guy and some hot chicks in front of that guy. They'll go right back to trust me. Trust me, baby. And
that's
you know, it's like going to the gym. It's like I've joined the gym.
Yeah.
I legitimately have a membership.
Yeah.
But I can never go.
Yeah.
I said, well, I belong to the gym, and now I'm a gym member. Now but you got to go and you got to work out.
Yeah.
And it's got to be consistent.
So good.
And so I was raised around a lot of bad Christianity. I was raised around horrific Catholicism too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of that, I was mindful because of what I saw, the messes that I had seen.
Yeah.
I was mindful. I had the spirit of discernment really early.
Yeah.
And my friend, his name's Dave Jackson. He works at Juvenile Hall still. He said, Patrick, just remember, truth has no problem being investigated.
That's good.
Truth has no problem being investigated. So ask your questions, do your thing, but find the right people. And the feelings come and go.
Yeah.
And I always use this example, you know, because I didn't want this to be based off of feeling.
Right.
Because you see people, I'm going to church, but it's the same thing. Like I'm going to the gym. I went to a boot camp. Like 3 weeks later, you're at you know, Golden Corral. You know, like
Golden Corral.
You know, you're drinking from the
Yeah.
chocolate fountain.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so
I've been there in years. I
sorry,
haven't.
that's a horrible Korean barbecue.
There
Let's
you
do something good. Okay, I don't know, but
That's good.
it was just a moment, and
Yeah.
like you base it off of feeling.
Right.
And so what I realized really early on is the feelings go like this, but the commitment goes like this.
That's so good.
And I realized it was in my marriage too. Or like my faith.
Yeah.
I feel like going to church. I don't feel like going to church. I feel like
Right.
reading the Bible. I don't feel
That's
like reading the
good.
Bible. I feel like going to prayer. I don't feel like going to prayer.
So good.
But the feelings, but the commitment was like this. And
Yeah.
same thing, marriage. I feel like being married. I don't feel
Yeah.
like being married. I feel like being married.
Right.
But we don't get a divorce just
Yeah.
because things aren't all that great.
Right.
It's all about the commitment.
Right.
And then so I started going to church, and eventually my wife, months later, she comes to me and she says, "Hey, there's this retreat
Yeah.
called Journey in Christianity,"
Mm.
and she said, would you go with me to that? And I had just got out the doghouse.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll do whatever. She goes,
Right.
it's a Catholic retreat.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Yeah.
the only example of Catholicism I ever had
Right.
was the babies being baptized on Saturday.
Right.
Coronas are on sale
Right.
at AM PM.
Right. No, I, facts. I hear you.
So
Yeah.
I didn't have good examples of that. And that goes into another thing.
Yeah.
Because I have a great, another bridge I'd love to
Yeah.
talk about. But,
yeah.
and so we went to this retreat, and it was up there at the retreat.
Mm.
That's still going on.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been working it for almost 20 years now.
Yeah. There's more information on the screen. You can use your phone and hit the Q code, and it'll take you directly
this
there.
whole bridge between Protestants and Catholics I've been on for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And I'm not Protestant enough for the Protestants. I'm not Catholic
Right.
enough for the Catholics.
Right.
But it's been a great bridge, and I don't recommend anybody try to live this life, but it's what God has put me to
Right.
do.
Right.
And bridges get trampled. They connect, but they get trampled.
Come on, bro. Talking to one.
And so I have my Protestant brothers and sisters. It's Jesus.
Yeah.
And I never met Catholics that were on fire for God, on fire for Jesus. And,
Right.
and I started meeting these people. Like, I didn't know y'all existed.
Right.
Like, I thought you were like albino alligators.
Right. Exactly. I hear you.
And so it's been an amazing walk. Anyways, and so it was up there at the retreat that the presence of the Holy Spirit fell upon her, and during a song called "Who Am I" by Casting Crowns.
Yeah.
And we came off the hill, and she gave me my ring back.
Wow.
And so we were going to church.
Right.
It was weird. Like, I would go to the Pentecostal church in the morning,
Yeah.
and then the mass with her in the afternoon.
Right.
And it was weird for everybody else except for us.
Right. Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, you guys have a problem with it, but we don't have a problem with it.
It's crazy,
and,
man.
Yeah. And so you guys have, but we didn't have a problem with it. No, and you get your family together, and you guys should all dress up and go to church, and then go to El Rosal afterwards.
Right.
Like, what? Like, we didn't. It's so unconventional.
Yeah.
To this day, it's unconventional.
Yes, it is. So many divisions.
Yeah. And so, but we knew we loved God, and we knew that Christ had. And so for me, I knew I had made a commitment. For my wife, I think she made a commitment. However, there was a part of her that said, I'm just trying to save this marriage.
Yeah.
And she had when I met her, she had a 4-year-old. So she was trying to, for anybody that, the first relationship doesn't work out because it's, you were too young, or you didn't know what you're getting into. I get it.
Yeah.
And so why would I want to make sure this one works out, and I'm going to do everything to work this one out, because I already messed up the first, or whatever happened in the first one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was like really set in her heart. And so we did that for a few years until about 2006. And then in 2006, that's where our marriage testimony comes in. And so once again, I'm mindful to give the whole, and details aren't important, because as long as God, I want people to walk away from our testimony glorifying God.
That's right.
Not about the drama that happened.
That's right.
We say even in Journeyman, bring them to us.
That's right.
Only that we bring them to you.
Yeah.
Because if it stops at us, you messed up.
Exactly.
And so if I remember sitting at a table and my wife telling me, I don't love you. I haven't loved you in a long time. And I don't know if I could ever love you again.
Wow.
And so I was like, is it my past? Is it
right?
Things that happen? She's like, no, I just don't love you anymore.
Wow.
And it's impossible to make this marriage work.
Yeah. Wow.
And so we lived as roommates for about a year. And anybody that's in that horrific, I think there's two of the roughest things. I mean, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
to ever go through is if you ever losing a child.
Yeah.
I think is top.
Right.
And the pain of going through a divorce or pain of going through a marriage is just on the rocks. And so we lived for about a year just as roommates. Didn't talk, no intimacy, no nothing. And then finally we separated.
Yeah.
And my big thing was I just want to make sure we're separated, not single.
Right.
And so we kind of got the okay on that.
Yeah.
And just as I had my prodigal, for those that don't read the Bible, there's a story of the prodigal son in Luke 15, somewhere around there. Luke 15. I encourage you to read it. But basically, I had it all. Then I left the father and I went and partied, and then I lost everything.
Right.
And then I lost everything. And then the greatest line, I think, one of the greatest lines in the Bible during the prodigal son is the son lost everything, and then the Bible says that, and then he came to his senses.
Yeah, that's good.
And so for me, April 4th, 2004, I came to my senses.
Wow.
And, my wife she was in her prodigal, let's just call it a prodigal moment. And I had the kids, and I was living in this apartment. And another thing I want to mention is during that time when I was separated, when we were separated, I remember staring at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And my life is just over.
Yeah. Wow.
And I thought to myself, I remember people saying, "Hey, you're a Christian now? Oh, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
We all need something.
Right.
Whatever works for you.
That's good.
It's,
so good.
That works for you, but this works for this. So whatever works for you, knock yourself out."
Yeah.
And I remember staring at the ceiling going, if this is an example of Christianity, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is the most horrific example of Christianity I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Wow.
And, I would just pray, Lord, I don't pray that she returns to me. I pray that she returns to you.
Yeah.
And skip a few later. I mean, I for the podcast, I'm going to move this along. But one day she did, and she came back and said, "I'll do whatever it takes to make this marriage work."
Yeah.
And
wow.
I want to touch on forgiveness.
Yeah.
A lot of marriages and a lot of relationships struggle with forgiveness.
So good.
Because they'll say, "Well, I'll forgive, but I won't
forget.
I won't forget."
Right.
Well, guess what? We're not supposed to forget.
That's right.
We weren't created to forget.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if you start forgetting, you should probably see a doctor.
Right.
Because something's wrong.
That's true,
But,
man. Oh man.
But
that's good.
But with true forgiveness,
So much knowledge.
see, the choice to forgive can be immediate.
Right.
The feeling of forgiveness might take some time.
Right. Right. That's good.
And so the choice to forgive can be immediate, but the feeling of forgiveness might take some time.
Yeah.
And so you won't forget, but you'll be able to recall without pain.
That's good.
And it's just like a wound.
Yeah.
If you get a major wound, it hurts, and it's you go to the hospital, it's stitched up, and it's a traumatic injury.
Yeah.
That's not going to heal overnight.
Yeah.
But eventually, over time, that wound turns into a scar.
Right.
And you can look at it and go, I'll never forget that, but I can look at it without pain now.
That's good.
And I encourage people to let that heal.
Yeah.
Because what we want to do is pick at it. And if you pick at a wound that's not healed, it'll get infected.
That's good.
And actually it'll get worse.
Yes.
So when we're talking about, hey, why did you and what, and bringing all this other stuff up, there's those moments of you have to have those conversations. But after everything's out, now what do we do?
Yeah.
And I'll remember my wife, even from her to me and me to her.
Yeah.
We'll talk about our past, and we'll talk about things that have happened.
Yeah.
But if it's not benefiting anything,
right,
it's just making you mad, or if we're going backwards, then we should rethink about us even talking about this stuff.
Right.
And so that was the time. And I had amazing brothers in Christ, amazing brothers that were just love her. Or in her church, she had amazing sisters. Just love him through it. And you always have the friends like, let's go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Let's just party. Go hook up with so-and-so or something. But I had seen the guys that do the monkey bar relationships. I see the girls that do monkey bar relationships. Monkey bars. I don't let go of one until I have a hold of another.
Right.
And so now you ain't even dealt with this.
Yeah.
So now you already want to start doing this.
Wow.
And you break up. You lose your 30 pounds.
Still got a hole in your heart.
You lose your 30 pounds, your 40 pounds.
Yeah.
You start going to the gym.
Yeah.
You start getting on social media and all these dating apps.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you meet somebody just as jacked up as you.
Yeah.
And that turns to crap too.
Yeah.
And so not to say if you're in a relationship and they're beating you or they're, there's serious infidelity that they're not repentive of, and that keeps it, then you probably should move on.
Yes.
But if there's true repentance of whatever happened in your life, alcoholism to whatever it is, and they really want to work this out, give God a chance. Give God a chance.
That's good.
And be mindful of the traps. I heard TD Jake said one time, you ever want to win a fight with the devil? Don't even get in the ring.
That was a good TD Jakes voice too.
Yeah, that was good, huh?
Hey, if you're watching this, TD Jakes, shout out, man. Yeah. So I mean, Patrick. So now this relationship of reconciliation, because of the power of forgiveness, that's a big thing, especially for men, man. Like, I would say, we do say this machismo style. Yeah, you forgive, and if you won't forget, right? But there's something even greater when, even let's say your spouse, right? I mean, there's something even deeper with that when you have this opportunity to forgive a situation that kind of separated, right? And there's so much power when that happens, that big word forgiveness. And as a man, I think sometimes we forget that we still have this hole in our heart from the mess that we're dealing with from years ago, from the father, from the trauma that we've seen as a young child, from the addictions that we're dealing with, from all the mess that we still have. We still have this hole because we can't forgive.
Yeah.
That's a big hurdle that I see, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? One of the things that about your story that really just kind of it makes any story is powerful. That, I mean, any sharpened story, you go back and you listen to all the podcasts that we've had, and each one of them is similar to their upbringing of what they came from and what they had to deal with as a young child. But this word forgiveness, I believe, is a key for men in this hour.
Yeah.
Because if we're able to do that, there's so many things and so many doors that will unlock in your life.
I'm gonna look something up. Just keep talking.
And I think that understanding the power of that begins to shift things, not in our life, but in society, in your church, in your community. I mean, I can see so much division because there is unforgiveness.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's not unforgiveness. Most of the time is they don't understand. And when you can have this reconciliation between conversation and being safe enough to ask questions about those things, that's another thing. If you feel safe enough, and that only happens through the power of trusted relationships, over time and connection. When you have these safe conversations, you're able to forgive and watch what happens. I mean, now you're reconciled with your wife. You've
We're best friends.
We're best friends. You've connected. You're laughing. You're traveling. You're doing good things in your older years. But you have something to add to that?
Yeah. We minister to young couples now, and so I was.
What's the name of that?
The Patrick and Tara. Let's hang out and buy us lunch ministry. Okay.
I'm going to take him up on that. You see that on podcast? I'm taking it up.
But I always tell young men, let me tell you everything not to do first.
Yeah, I hear you. But aren't you connected? What is it? Army?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's another. So the Journey in Christianity, definitely the Catholic retreat, twice a year in October and in March. Definitely, we've made an amazing ministry. Not made, but we part of an amazing ministry there.
Right.
But it goes back to conditional.
Yeah.
Because why am I the one that has to do everything? Why am I the one trying to make this work? Why am I the one that tries to? And then I cooked for you, and then I did this, and you don't even realize it. You don't even acknowledge it. You don't. And by the way, you still doing something like that? By the way, let me. Oh, by the way, if you can't give your lady your phone,
that's good. That's so good.
If you can't give your husband your phone,
that's so good.
With the code and all the screen,
so good.
You guys might want to have a little talk. Take us out to lunch. Take us out to lunch. But I want to share something on forgiveness. It says, y'all can write this one down. Or rewind the podcast or whatever. Without forgiveness, life is governed by an endless cycle of resentment and retaliation.
Wow. Oh, that's so true.
An endless cycle
Yeah.
of resentment and
Yeah.
retaliation.
Yeah.
And so many people, their whole lives, I'll forget, but and they'll be 60, 70 years old,
Yeah.
still mad.
Yeah.
You're gonna spend your whole life being that mad over that?
Yeah. Wow.
What can I do? And for people going through forgiveness issues, be
Yeah.
okay with the uncomfortable conversations,
Right.
but
Wow.
make sure that there's progress there,
Yes. Yeah.
and be mindful to have those, because what the other flip of the switch to
Yeah.
the person that's had issues,
Yeah.
they'll say, I want to say stupid stuff
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't know any better,
Right.
but just stuff like, it's in the past,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, it happened. Whatever. Hey, it is
Yeah.
what it is. And so what? Like what? I work all day. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Right.
no. I learned
Yeah.
if you don't take care of your lady, somebody else will.
That's
If you don't
whew,
take care of your
man.
man, somebody else will.
I got you, baby.
Yeah, right. I ain't going nowhere.
Uh-uh.
Shoot, I got a sugar mama
I
now.
heard,
Yeah.
I heard
I
that.
tell my wife, remember, I
heard
knew you
that.
when you were poor.
That's
So,
right. You
yeah,
remember that, honey.
Now that
Yeah,
she
you
makes
remember
some
that.
money,
All your prayers is
not,
all of this.
I'm not going over. I ain't going nowhere. But
that's good.
Listen,
Yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah.
But you can never get these relationships on track.
Right.
With my wife, with my kids, with my friends, with my coworkers,
Yeah.
even with Jose. I can
Yeah.
never get you can never get these relationships on track
Right.
until you get this relationship on track.
That's facts. Facts. That's
And
a commitment.
So
Yeah.
while there's drama,
Yeah.
work on this.
That's right.
When there's disconnection, work on this.
That's right.
When there's unforgiveness,
Yeah.
work on this.
Yeah.
Because once this is connected,
Yeah.
now it goes like this.
That's right. Yeah.
And you can't offer somebody true love
Yeah.
until you receive it from God.
That's so
You
good.
can't offer somebody true forgiveness
That's right.
until you receive it from God.
That's right.
You can't offer somebody true compassion and grace until you receive it from God.
That's right.
See, I give a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness because I need a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness. So I'm trying to give out what I need.
That's good.
And you're talking about forgive but won't forget. I remember when I was at the Pentecostal church, and there was other officers that, you at work and now you're the Jesus guy. So now you're just back and forth. By the way, at times I was a great example.
Yeah.
And there were times, because I know somebody's listening to this. Why don't you talk about 2005, Patrick? Why don't you talk about And there were times I was a horrific example. But at the age of 40, but at the age of 49, hopefully I've kind of got it together.
Yeah.
Anyways, and they would go to church and they would see kids that were in juvenile hall that were at church. And they were like, hey, PC, they call him PC.
Yeah.
Hey, PC, thank you for inviting us to church. But when we go to church, we see so and so and so and so.
That's good.
And I said one time, the reason we're kind of against this because we know what they've done.
Right.
These people that are incarcerated, whether it's juvenile or adults, their charges get shown on a police report.
Yeah. Wow.
And these charges get shown in court.
Mm-hmm.
This person has done this, and this.
Yeah.
And because they've done this, and this, here are their charges, and this is how much time they're doing.
Right.
Their sins and their iniquities are on paper for everybody to see.
Wow.
What if your sins and your iniquities and everything you've done was on a piece of paper for everybody to see?
Yeah.
How would people look at you?
Man, deep. Yeah. So good.
So we have to remember that. Shout out to my students at IoT Institute of Technology. I'll be there for a little while longer.
Yeah.
But if they're listening, eventually, shout out to my crew there, and they just graduated last Friday. Shout out to all the staff that work at Juvenile Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I remember mandates, overtime, shift work, missing birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, missing all these events because you had to work. Nothing but love, nothing but keep going. Probation, the hard work that they do, and all my former students. I will say, and when I do give shout outs to jobs or even students, there's 3 types of employees. In law enforcement, we say the 3 types of officers, but it could be anywhere. It could be at a bank, it could be at Walmart, it could be at a medical center. There's 3 types of employees. There's your all-stars. they're just the all-star worker.
Yeah.
You're an all-star. You're an all-star, man. You're an all-star.
Yeah.
And then you have the just enough.
Yeah.
8 and hit the gate. Don't ask me no more. Don't ask me no less. I'm just enough. So you have the all-stars, the just enough.
Yeah.
And then you have the how the
Yeah.
F and F and F and have you not been fired yet?
Yeah. Fired.
Yeah. How come you ain't been fired yet? So
yeah.
And they asked me about Michael. What about you?
Right.
Well, I was an instructor. I taught the defensive tactics for many years.
Yeah.
I was a supervisor. I worked in the units, and I say at some point in my career, I was probably all three.
Yeah. Wow.
And so hopefully I ended on a good note.
Yeah.
Shout once again, just shout out to those working in juvenile hall.
Yeah.
I want to touch on this for a second too.
Yeah.
If you look at Stanislaus County, and I would love to talk to Hispanic leadership movements and some of these other groups that are going on in Modesto.
Right.
If you look at let's say young men between the ages of 12 and 17,
right?
Not even 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Between the ages of 12 and 17, how many of them are there in Stanislaus County?
Right.
Modesto, Ceres, Turlock, Waterford, all these. How many young men between the ages of 12 and 17 are there in Stanislaus County?
Yeah.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands.
Right.
And juvenile hall has what, 50, 60?
Right.
Let's get even more.
Yeah.
How many young ladies between the ages of 12 and 17 are there in Stanislaus County?
Yeah.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands.
Yeah.
And juvenile hall might have what, 10?
Right.
12? So working in that environment for over 20 years, it is the concentrated, consolidated epicenter of the lost, broken, and hurting.
Right. Wow.
And so when I work there, there's believers there that work there, it gives you an opportunity to exercise your faith.
Right.
Sometimes we exercise it well, sometimes not so well.
Yeah, I hear you.
But that was the breeding ground.
Yeah.
For those are the trenches.
Yeah.
Those are the trenches. And Merced, Fresno, Sonora, where these juvenile halls are. These workers are in. People want their programs.
Right.
They come in for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Oh, we did this, we did that, and then you left.
Yeah.
Those staff are with them all day.
Right. Wow.
They have a better relationship with those kids than some of their own parents and own family members.
Yeah.
And so it's a thankless job a lot of times. And that's why the turnover is so high. Right. I tell people, if you work at juvenile hall for a job, I get it.
Yeah.
As a career, you're crazy.
Right.
Like something. So it takes a special kind of person to do that.
Yeah.
And they're in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And through all of the drama that I saw over, I did 22 years there.
Yeah.
I saw programs.
Right.
I saw meetings.
Yeah.
I saw do urine tests and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I saw all these programs, all these pushing out. Right. I saw change.
Yeah.
I did see change.
Yeah.
But I never saw transformation.
Yeah.
Like their life is for sure transformed.
Right.
Unless it was those that accepted Christ.
Wow. Wow.
If you were a drug addict, gang member, prostitute, you could change for a little bit.
Right.
But the only ones I saw transformed were the ones that gave their lives to Christ.
Wow.
Shout out to the podcast Street Gospel.
Yeah.
With Dave One. If anybody is listening, really check out. It's called Street Gospel.
Yeah.
Podcast. Anybody cut from that?
Yeah.
Anybody cut from that cloth?
Yeah.
They're amazing testimonies. The guy Dave One does an amazing job. Sit there and listen to some stories.
Yeah.
Let's just listen to some stories. A lot of the mess that became a message.
Right.
Listen to this if you want to. But but anyway, shout out to those people.
Yeah.
Those workers. Okay.
Yeah.
To the all stars.
Yeah. Right. And you have a shout out to Shower Shuttle there as well.
Dean Dodd. Dean Dodd with the
Pastor Dean Dodd.
Pastor Dean Dodd with the Shower Show. Shout out, Pastor Dean. There's faith is a verb.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Faith is a verb.
Mm-hmm.
You get your knowledge, you get your the good word on Sunday or whatever time you do that.
Right.
But now that you have that, now you go exercise that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And deep down in the shower shuttle bus and feeding and showering the homeless and washing their clothes. such a great example of faith in motion.
Yeah.
And it's his job.
Yeah.
But there's two places you are the most in your life.
Yeah.
You're at home or you're at work.
That's right.
When you die one day and you total up all the hours,
Yeah.
you were either at home or
Right.
you were at work.
Right.
And were you a believer at home?
Mm-hmm.
And did you act out your faith at work?
Right.
You know, because anybody can do it for 2 hours on Sunday.
Yeah.
So you see people that go to church on Sunday or
Yeah.
whenever, and you see them at work, and you're like,
Yeah.
people are watching. Like I said,
Yeah.
people hear with their eyes.
Yeah.
So, and then
good.
are you a believer in your home?
Yeah.
And you believe in your home. Once again, sometimes I do amazing at that. Sometimes it's a struggle.
Right.
But those are the two places first.
Yeah.
That you need the home first. A believer at home and,
Yeah.
and exercising this faith and this love, and then in your work life.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if your work life sucks, make sure your home life is good.
Right.
And if your home life sucks, make sure your work life is good.
Right.
Because if your home life and your work life suck, then you're just happy at the stoplights.
That's right. That's good.
You're just happy at the stoplights.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. Well, thank you so much, Patrick Correa, man. Thank you for your awesome story. I'm glad we're able to get this done right, man. And I'm super excited. You know, one of the things that we like to do here is just close out with some flowers, we like to say, you know, from a famous guy on the left of me, man. And one of the things that I love about Patrick is his inspiration of one-liners and the one-liners that God gives him. But I mean, we're all a mess, but his mess turned into a message, man. And it's, I honor you for that, man. Sticking through, you know, the situations that you dealt with as a young man, as a atheist, and as a broken man, to a man who, of somebody who, whose mess turned into a great message, man. And you know what? It reminds me of a great story, and that's the story of Jesus. He was broken, tested, and he died on a cross for us.
Yeah.
And you know, at the end of the day, that's our hope, is that folks are hearing these podcasts and like, man, what's up with these crazy nuthead misfits?
Yeah.
You know, that somehow are linked up. And what it is we're all a mess.
Yeah.
Each man is a mess, but we're willing to step into the ring and identify our commitments and be accountable for those in our lives, so that we can thrive in the areas of faith, family, and community.
I say,
we're doing that.
I say to my students, as we're all, I say we're all a mess.
Yeah.
We're all jacked up. My job as an instructor, because they have a 15-month program.
Yeah.
And I said, my job as an instructor, by the time you leave here, that you're less jacked up.
Yeah. That's good.
And then when you're out in the workforce or an officer,
Yeah.
Those moments where you start being jacked up again,
Yeah.
you at least acknowledge it.
That's good. So
that's what we do in our lives. We're all jacked up, but our day by day to be less jacked up.
Amen.
And in those moments when we start being jacked up, at least
that's right,
we acknowledge it.
That's good.
And now what do we do?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been an amazing run, and it's not over.
That's right.
So we're in some interesting times.
That's right.
And you know, we all we can do is let your life preach for you.
Yeah.
People are done with words. Let your life preach for you. They're here with their eyes.
That's right.
And you know, love your family first.
Yeah.
And you know, my wife, I love her to death, but she's definitely a close second in my life.
Yeah, that's good.
And my wife loves me. I hope she loves me to death. She better. We have a little talk about the pod. No, but my wife can say I love you to death, Patrick, but you're definitely a very close second in my life.
Yeah.
And so shout out to Army Ministries, a church in Turlock, one Monday a month, a Catholic adoration. Look them up, Army Ministries. The website's there.
Yeah.
I see that for the last podcast, Fighter Fit Boxing.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't talk about health tonight.
Yeah.
We're working on it. I told Jose, look, brother, you lose 25 pounds, I'll gain 25 pounds. We're gonna meet right here. And for any guys that are struggling with their weight, don't be used to.
Yeah.
I used to play football. I used to work out. I used to do jujitsu. I used to, man, get up, go to the gym, join a gym, and just mindful of your eating. And if you don't take care of yourself now, your kids will be taking care of you. Now I'm at the age where I'm gonna be 50 in May. Woo. And if I don't take care of myself, my
Yeah.
kids will be taking. Now
That's
you
good.
become a burden.
That's good.
And then all the embarrassing stuff like I can't park there. I can't.
Yeah.
That's too far from where I'm trying to
Right.
walk. I can't even get. And then can't even get on that roller coaster. Or you. I don't
Yeah.
have to buy
Yeah.
two plane.
Hey, you couldn't get on a roller coaster either?
I didn't know. I can't. No, I can't. Yeah. I'm on that. I'm on that last click.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey, I love Disneyland, bro. There's no weight limits.
And the plane, like I don't have to buy two
Yeah.
seats yet, but
Yeah.
if I'm not
No,
careful,
all right.
the other day I was at a plane trip, and I'm like, "Come on, man,
Yeah.
come on, man!" And the flight attendant goes,
Hey.
"Do you want an extension?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
yeah.
want an extension?" Oh heck!
hey, I'm laughing because I just did that, but I was super proud of myself, bro, because I'm a big dude, man, and I didn't need an extension for the first time, and I don't know how long,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
It's been at least 12 years.
Stand
or so.
by. We're working on it. We're working on it, man.
Yeah.
So for guys that are struggling with their weight, we'll do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We have some amazing folks
on
coming
that.
in.
But
yeah,
listen. If you're listening to this, I mean, we had some cool stories.
Yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right,
This is no detail. This is just.
right.
What's great about this podcast is, if I forget to say something, when it's a tip of tell a story,
Yeah,
I get to come back.
that's right.
I get to come.
Yeah.
I get to come back.
That's
Last words from you. Last
Yeah.
words from you before I go. Last words.
Yeah.
Any last
Well,
words?
for me, man, I think one of the things that I heard through your story over and over is that it's okay if you're a mess, but don't stay there. There's opportunities for you to grow through your trauma. One of the lines that I love to hear and I learned from you so much is, don't put your faith in Christians. Put your faith in Christ. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big one. And if you're watching this and you're an atheist, yeah, my mom believed in that God, but I don't. Or I'm good. I'm making multi-millions. I don't need God. Don't put your faith in Christians, put them in God. And man, you'll live a life like no other, because that commitment is vertical. That's good.
It is. It's a different kind of right. It's a different kind of right. And so the story I would say is during the marriage problems and during the issues, and I was only a believer for a few years.
Yeah.
I was listening to, I know for younger people, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but they used to have a thing called CDs.
Right? My son's like, what is that?
CDs.
Yeah.
So I had bought this. I was listening to a preacher in the Bay Area, great preacher.
Yeah.
And at the time, and he had a box set of Fix Your Marriage, whatever it was. So I'm listening to these, and I'm separated, and I'm looking at these, and I'm listening, and I'm hopefully something out there, and I'm trying to fix this marriage.
Yeah.
And then one day I get a letter, and the letter, because I was donating to the church.
Yeah.
And I got a letter, and it said, I apologize, but I'm going to have to step down from the pulpit. I've let down my God, and I've let down my wife and my family. And, I did some investigating. He was messing around with somebody at the church.
Right.
And so anyways, I'm reading this letter from this pastor, and I'm sorry I messed up. I hurt my God and my wife.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading this letter, and I'm looking over at the CDs. And I'm reading this letter, and I'm looking over at these marriage CDs.
Right.
And you went and did some funky comedina. You went go time with somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these CDs, and I'm looking at this, and for a second, I was like, man,
I'm done.
I'm done.
My dad was right.
My dad was right. I got bamboozled. This is all a bunch of and so I went to crumple it up. And so I'm crumpling up the paper, like I'm done with this whole God thing.
Yeah.
And just like bam in my chest.
Yeah.
I heard this. Base your faith on Christ, not Christians.
Yeah.
Base your faith on Christ, not Christians.
Yeah.
I heard it 3 times. Base your faith on Christ, not Christians.
Yeah.
And I began to weep. And so I took the paper and I made it flat.
Yeah.
And then I folded that paper, and that paper was my bookmark in my Bible for many years to remind me what is your faith based on?
That's right.
When everything crumbles down, what's the base?
Yeah.
And so Christians will fail.
Yeah.
People will fail,
Mm-hmm.
but Christ never will.
That's right.
And not to say that Christians can't help,
Yeah.
and not the amazing people.
Yeah.
But if you base it on Jose, if you
Right.
base it on Patrick, if
Right.
you base it on your pastor, if you
Yeah.
base it on your priest, if you
Yeah.
base everything on them,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
At
So
all.
base your faith on Christ, not
Good.
Christians.
That's so good, man. Yeah.
And the closing word.
Yeah. Last
Okay.
closing words,
So
man.
my closing word after that last story. Because if we don't go, then I'll tell another story.
Yeah.
I'll think of another one. Listen, if you're listening right now,
Yeah.
here's my encouragement. God is okay with if.
Mm-hmm.
God is okay with if. If you are real, if you are the one that my mom and my grandma or my dad or my friend or that bumper sticker said that you are.
Yeah.
If there was a perfect life, death for my sins, resurrected 3 days,
Yeah.
they come back again. That's the gospel.
Yeah.
The life, death, resurrection, and return.
Right.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's the core, the
Yes.
tenets of the faith.
Mm-hmm.
If you are real,
Mm-hmm.
then I need you to show me.
Yeah.
And I need some tangible evidence of being real for me.
Yeah.
If you are real,
Mm-hmm.
and go about your day.
Right.
But God is okay with if.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you what God looks like, but I can't tell you what wind looks like.
Yeah.
If somebody would say, what does wind look like? I would say, I don't know what wind looks like, but I can point to something that it's affecting.
Yeah.
A flag, a
Good.
kite,
It's good.
a tree.
Yeah.
And so I can't tell you what God looks like, but I can show you that it's affected me.
Yeah.
And show you my life.
Yeah.
Before, people turn the volume up too high sometimes and trying to get a drink from a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
And the gospel says, and turn and burn and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just trying to be a better father.
Right.
Let's start there.
Right.
I'm trying to be a better husband. Let's start there. And so be okay with if.
Yeah.
I mean, that God's okay with if.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're driving right now, if you're at the gym, you're cleaning your house, whatever it may be, just take a second, stop.
Yeah.
And just say, if.
Yeah.
If you're real, I need you to reveal yourself, because every time I try to fix my life, I mess it up.
Yeah.
Every time I try to fix my life. And God's okay with being the last option.
That's right.
God's okay with being the last
So
option.
good, man.
So,
Yeah.
Amen. Get a hold of us. If it,
Yeah.
we're available.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to hang out and buy me lunch or buy me dinner, okay,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome. But
Yeah.
but we love you. We love you guys. We love
Yeah.
you for anybody that's waited this whole almost an hour and a half to listen to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And if anything that we've said has resonated,
Yeah.
then let us know. Also, for pastors or preachers, or are you doing a men's group, or just hanging out with the boys, hanging out with the girls, and something was said, pull that out and talk about
That's
it.
right.
Talk about it. Maybe it's a marriage.
Yeah.
And hey, check this out.
Yeah.
How do we not end up like that?
Right.
How do we not? Let's do some
Yeah.
premeditative.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
know
man.
what
We
you're saying. I
both
don't
got high
know.
school
I'm not that
diplomas.
smart, man.
High school diplomas. Okay. Like the hospital says,
Yeah.
take care of yourself before you have to get taken
Right.
care of.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
do some premeditative measures.
Yeah.
So your marriage doesn't turn out like that.
Right.
The
Yeah.
alcohol doesn't turn out like that, and all these other addictions.
Yeah.
And so we'll make ourselves available for you guys.
For sure, man. Well, thanks again, Patrick, man. And man, we're excited because next month we'll have Jason Conway with us, and another man from a powerful story, from addiction to homelessness to becoming the CEO of the Modesto Gospel Mission and thriving through that, man. And we believe, again, here at Sharpen, we want to highlight stories like that, and we're super excited to have him coming on next month. But man, if you're watching this replay, again, do us a favor. Or if you're watching this live, hit a like, share this on Facebook. Hey, send this to folks. If you're listening to us on Spotify, text it to somebody. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the notification, subscribe button, and man, we'll stay connected. But thank you so much, Patrick, man. We'll see you guys next month.
Love you guys, man. Have a good night.
But today we must take a wider look because of modern communication and modern technology, the whole world has become our neighborhood. And we are demographically moving closer and closer to each other, and we've become a neighborhood without becoming a brotherhood.
Journeyman is a platform where men can lay down their titles, grow together, learn from each other, and be accountable to each other. Many of us deal with several problems throughout our lives, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. At times, we may feel alone in our troubles. However, Journeyman is a space where you can feel safe expressing yourself with other men that are on the same path. Journeyman is a space for people like myself who never thought they would be living purposefully in their life.